Good morning. Welcome to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, welcoming you on this 8th day of November. Please forgive us if our quality this morning is suffering. We seem to be having technical difficulties, but in any case, we will try our best to deliver the program today, November 8, 2022. It's a Tuesday. I'm still here in the very cloudy but cool atmosphere of Lipa, Batangas. And today we start our program by thanking all of you who are Cignal subscribers to Cignal TV. Thank you for supporting us, watching the program. And of course, maraming salamat sa sumusunod sa atin via facebook.com/onenews as well as those watching us on YouTube. Let's start the day with our daily starter, which comes from Cato the Younger. Okay? Cato, hindi to si Cato na sidekick ni Green Hornet or whoever. It is from Cato the Younger. Don't promise twice what you can do at once. Okay, lalo na kayong mga bata or those husbands, etc., who keep saying, okay, I promise, I'll do it. And then you don't do it. And then you promise again. Just do it at once. And then you don't have to promise twice. Very smart, very wise words of counsel from Cato the Younger. Let's now go to your favorite front page, the front page of the Philippine Star, November 8, 2022, and we go to the headline. Lapid case, murder raps filed versus Bantag and others. The Department of Justice has officially filed murder charges, a complaint in court, versus the director of the Bureau of National of the BNP, Director Bantag, retired General Bantag, and his assistant, Ricardo Zulueta, Deputy Security Officer at BuCor, and 10 others. Okay, kumbaga 12 people are now principally charged in the double murder. The murder of media or broadcaster Percy Lapid, and the murder of the second middleman who ordered the contract hit. Okay, so that photo you see there is DOJ Secretary Boying Remulla with DILG Secretary Benhar Abalos Dasan, during a press conference where they presented the findings of the DOJ. And as mentioned by the Secretary of Justice, what will happen is the formal charges will be filed, it will be processed in court, and then warrants of arrest will be issued, and then umpisa na ang hanapan at habulan because the 10 convicts are all in different penal colonies, but Director Bantag and his right-hand man, Ricardo Zulueta, have to be found and arrested once a warrant of arrest is issued. At the top of the front page, we have BBM government addressing culture of impunity. This was mentioned or stated by Department of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Maria Teresa Daza in response to the statements issued or concerns raised by the United Nations Human Rights Council regarding reports of grave human rights violations in the Philippines. Okay. Below the header, we have budget lump sums to be itemized, responding to criticisms and calls on addressing lump sum appropriations or provisions in the proposed 2023 budget. Senate President Miguel Zubiri declared that all of these will be studied by Congress, and all of these proposed budget lump sums will be required to be itemized. Kumbaga, ilista ang paggagamitan ng mga pera na ito. Hindi pwedeng tumpok-tumpok hatian. Hindi raw yan. Hindi yan holen, okay? Na tumpok-tumpok hatian na lang o parang text. Okay. Meanwhile, on the other side of the front page, we have the announcement that Luli Arroyo, okay? Luli Arroyo has been designated or appointed as ambassador to Austria, while another former CNN bureau chief, Flor Cruz, was appointed as ambassador to the People's Republic of China. Yan po. Kumbaga, both of them are highly qualified for those appointments. These are individuals who are very professional, regardless of their association to certain political figures or personalities. Okay, ika nga, may sinabi at magaling naman ang kanilang performance sa nakaraan. Okay. And now we get the reaction. Pediatricians push continued masking in schools after receiving reports that a number of students, grade school, high school students, were being infected by COVID. Okay. The Pediatricians Association or Pediatric Infectious Society of the Philippines and the Philippine Pediatric Society are pressing for the continued use of face masks in classroom because it is the best defense following reports that nearly 4,000 school children have been infected with COVID-19. Ayan po, buti na lang, wala pa naman yatang grabe, minor lang, but 4,000 is not a small number, and so we need to seriously study that. Okay, meanwhile, 176 believed corpses remain unclaimed, okay? 176 bodies of believed convicts or the detainees remain unclaimed, and according to a funeral parlor, they have requested for at least 126 of them to be buried by the National Believed Prison Authorities dahil December pa raw last year yung mga namatay na yan of natural causes. Okay. Meanwhile, Go Negosyo founder and businessman Joey Concepcion is hoping that the public will have easier access to COVID-19 vaccines in the future by allowing their purchase from hospitals, clinics, and drugstores. Okay, so yun po, no? And then on the other side of the front page, we have a photo of residents from Barangay Malaban in Binyan, Laguna, who received goods from volunteers of Operation Damayan, the Philippine Star Media Group social arm during relief operations held last Saturday after Tropical Storm Paeng hit various parts of the Philippines. On the back to the left side, we have a photo of numerous individuals, personalities, and diplomatic officials who participated in the lighting of the Christmas tree at the Shangri-La Plaza. Okay, yan po. So dumadalas ang mga Christmas tree lighting. And last but not the least, a bit of good news kung mangyayari, all idle government lands, okay, to be allotted for housing. To fulfill the administration's goal of building 6 million housing units by the end of his term, President Marcos is set to sign an executive order reserving all idle state-owned lands estimated to be more than 16,000 hectares for government housing. The provision is that these must have been idle or unused for the last 10 years. Okay, yan na po ang balita, and we will now go to the, well, pasensya na po, hindi ko mabasa ng mabilis kasi medyo may technical problem tayo dito. Okay, let's now go to our interview for today. Here's the setup. In the past week, so many people have been asking me for my assessment, my input, my evaluation on different topics. So ngayon, mapapag-usapan, I'm sure, will be the Bantag case, the issue of the Bureau of Penology, the Bilibid. But others have also been asking, because people were also saying, bakit ba puro na lang yung Percy Lapid, Bantag case ang pinag-uusapan sa media? What about our economy? What about the performance of the government? What about the announcement of the IMF that the worst is yet to come? Mahirap pong magdunong-dunungan. So we invited two veteran journalists. One is, they're actually both my seniors. One was my first employer. He employed me to be a columnist in a small newspaper many moons ago. Then the second one, siya lang yung nakakapagsigaw sa akin na, "Hoy, Beltran, yung column mo, agahan mo, hindi sa'yo tong dyaryo na to." Okay, so Gabriel, roll out the Betamax.
Marichu Villanueva currently serves as the associate editor of the Philippine Star. She also has a column in the said paper named Common Sense, where she discusses national issues. The veteran journalist is also known for hosting the weekly forum Kapihan sa Manila Bay. Villanueva's work in journalism has been recognized by various groups, including the Rotary Club of Manila. Jarius Bondoc is a multi-awarded journalist who has been in the industry for over 40 years. He is known for his investigative reporting that exposes illegal activities in the government. His reports are compiled in his book Exposés, Investigative Reporting for Clean Government. Currently, Bondoc writes the column called Gotcha for the Philippine Star and Sapol for Filipino Star ngayon.
Okay, pasensya na, Jarius, medyo, for some strange reason, this morning, my camera died. I have to use my laptop, and then I have to resort to my cell phone because the internet suddenly fluctuated. Anyway, welcome, Cito Beltran, Jarius, Bondoc. Thank you very much for your time today. Tulungan naman niyo ako kasi tinatanong ako ng mga businessmen, mga community leaders, mga nasa iba-ibang barangay regarding my opinion. Sabi ko, malay ko ba? Tanungin niyo na lang ako sa pangsabong. Huwag niyo na akong tanungin tungkol sa economics. So, Cito, may I start with you? It's not a Q&A, no? Conversation tayo, so please just jump in, guys. Let's tackle first this Percy Lapid murder, this Bantag case. Some people have actually called me to ask, Cito, bakit puro ba yan lang ang nasa balita? Meron bang nanggagatong dyan? Pinalalaki ba yung story na yan? Because people were wondering, why is it that for the first time, a hit on a journalist or a broadcaster was given so much attention, unlike all the other killings of all the other broadcasters and journalists. Like, pati nga yung editorial cartoonists sa Mindanao, parang, hello, ni hindi na bigyan ng follow-up story.
Cito and Jarius na pansin ko lang sa piling mo sa taso sa science. Ang employment is parang 30,000, which is a population of people na checkered is not criminal backgrounds like Bantag and the 10 criminals.
Could you come closer to your mic or put the can't hear you?
Yeah. Yung sinabi mo kayo ng dirty dozen because they come from a groupation of people na checkered and criminal backgrounds. Si Bantag and his deputy and the 10 criminals. And kanina nga nabanggit mo na why is it na ang dami-daming istorya, marami mga other journalists na napapatay, bakit ito kay Percy Lapid pa ang highlight? Kababasa ko lang ngayon sa Twitter, nabasa ko yung comment naman ni Senate President Mig Subiri. Kayo namang media, lumabas na yung kaso na sino mga pumatay, sino behind it. I-report nyo naman para malaman sa mundo. Ano ba gagawin namin? I-report ba namin o hindi namin i-report? Para bang insinuation ni Senate President may concerted effort to silence or to tone down? Ano bang nangyayari? Itong for the first place, in the first time since so many years, may isang journalist na napatay sa Metro Manila. And you know, Metro Manila is the capital of the Philippines. The metropolitan itself. Yung mga, in the past, ang napapatay na mga, yung mga black timers na broadcaster sa mga provinces with impunity. And ngayon, ang umabot na impunity dito sa Metro Manila. If the journalists here in Metro Manila are not safe, how much more yung sa countryside? At napansin mo nga, isang cartoonist na patay sa Sultan Kudarat yata, if not mistaken, hindi na-highlight, di ba? So, dapat, nagpapatuloy ito. Kaya ako sa mga reporters ko, sa correspondents ko, follow up nga nyo na ano nangyari dito sa kaso na to. Matutulog na lang ba ito? Mamamatay na naman ng justice, di ba, Jarius?
Yes, tama yan. I agree with you. Good morning, by the way. Good morning din, Cito. Kasi with due respect kay Senate President Mig Subiri, we in the media keep reporting what's happening, whether it's murder or the solution of a murder. If he feels, na ganyan, mayroon kasi mga ganun officials, I cannot blame them. But if they feel that these reports are giving the Philippines a bad name, please, lutasin natin ang murders. Hindi yung magka-quiet tayo sa murders, di ba? Yan lang ang nakikita ko. In fact, meron pa nga, for one, unsolved murders, Davao City, 2020, was it? Mid-2020, yung female broadcaster, Hilda Mahinay, and her husband.
Binaril sa harap ng bahay niya.
Oo. Ang mabigat doon, this is also a gated subdivision and it happened in a big city. She was just crossing from her house to her studio within her compound and both of them were shot. Pupunta sila doon sa radio show. There was a sniper inside their gated subdivision. And up to now, hindi sila, nabaril sila pareho. Rifle.
Now, regarding this reaction from Mig Subiri, that's, am I correct in assuming that the Senate President is reacting this way because perhaps the national government, Congress, etc., yung grupo nilang lahat are kind of affected by the recent comment of the United Nations Human Rights Commission on the situation here in the Philippines?
Yes, you're spot on, Cito. Actually, si Senate President was actually answering the question on that UN report. But they failed to mention that just last week also, the Reporters Without Borders and other international journalist group have placed the Philippines as still among the most dangerous places for journalists. Kasi meron pa tayo, di ba, we first came to that list, notorious list, nung sa Mangkit, no, yung Ampatuan, di ba? And yet, na-solve na ngayon, na-charge na-convict na-detain na lahat ng mga salarin doon. And yet, we have not been delisted from that notorious list because precisely there have been several killings of journalists, although one or two, but still they remain unsolved. So the authorities must really do something. Don't shoot the messengers. They must shoot those shooting the messengers, di ba, Ja?
Yes, in fact, because of this investigation, napilitan yung mga police to dig deeper, and the NBI, the authorities, and now we know that the rackets inside the corrections are still going on. Diba? Imagine. Now with this, we've always been saying that it's been reported so many times that the 7 major crimes in this country are being committed from behind bars, from inside prison, by gangsters and wardens who allow them to commit murder for hire, kidnapping for ransom, bank robbery, drug trafficking, protection racket, money laundering, and illegal gambling. 7 major crimes committed from behind bars. Plus now we know that guards are bringing in beer by the not just case but truckloads, di ba? 7,500 cans of beer to be sold at 1,000 pesos each. That's 7.5 million pesos. Gross for the guards? How can that happen? And why do they have cell phones inside prison, the prisoners? And they have bladed weapons. And they have drugs, methamphetamine. What's going on?
Ito nga yung Cito, ito yung irony, ha? Natatawa ako. Kinukwento ni Justice Secretary Remulla. Marami silang na-confiscate na Wi-Fi, hotspot. And yet, when I call my reporter sa DOJ, hindi ko siya makontak dahil dead spot at merong mga jammers. If they can do that inside the Department of Justice, why can't they do that at the National Bilibid? Diba? So apparently, there's collusion and maraming, I hate to say this, pero maraming kumikita sa loob ng Bilibid sa mga criminals natin na supposedly under reformatory detention. Reformatory, parang nagiging worst criminal sila. Sabi nga ni Jarius, may violation ng anti-money laundering. At sabi nga ang description ng Secretary Remulla, centralize ang pagpasok ng mga illegal contrabands. Di ba mayroon pa ngayong nalaman na racket, yung drones, they're using drones to bring in the contrabands. So you can just imagine that yung very sophisticated na mga techniques nila na I think kikita mo naman doon, so they can shoot it down. Apparently, they just let it. Di ba?
Okay, baka naman kuno lang yan. Kasi alam ko sa Manila City Jail, binabato lang dahil mas mataas pa yung mga overpass at mga pedestrian walkway do sa gilid ng City Jail. Ibinabato na lang yung shabu sa may pader
Kaya nyo bang hindi walang sophistication?
Okay, now, what about the proposal or the idea of Secretary Remulla to just, remove all of these huge facilities and make new centers or penitentiaries and spread and regionalize all of this? Kasi even before the BBM administration, we have been discussing this in media and in the social forums that we should break them all apart. Jarius.
But it depends at the end of the day. It depends on who's on top of this Bureau of Corrections. Even if you regionalize it, there is a central government that is required to handle this these matters. It's in the administrative code. Now, the problem here is when we say if the guy at the top is lousy, then the entire system is lousy. We know, of course, that it's been investigated in Congress before, that yun lang pagkain alone, how much the budget per prisoner, 60 pesos per day, no? Pero they complain that they get only 35 pesos worth a day of food, no? Imagine, breakfast, lunch, supper, 35 pesos lang. 60 pesos nga ang budget, which is already very small. Ngayon, isipin na lang natin, there are 50,000 prisoners. I'm rounding it off, 49,000 prisoners. Let's round it off for easier arithmetic. 50,000 prisoners, 3 meals a day. So that's 150,000 meals a day. If I were a crooked BuCor chief and I say, I want 1 peso from each of those meals, that's 150,000 a day. Multiply that by 365 days a year. How much will I rake in na dirty money, di ba? Sobrang laki. And that's only 1 peso. But now, consider natin that there's 25 pesos missing from the 60 pesos, di ba?
But what's your reaction to the fact that they always appoint a retired general to this organization, and following up on what Jarius was saying, if the guy is lousy, so does that mean that even if you're a police general, a military general, you're not competent to run a state penitentiary?
Cito, police and military, their sole
Pakilapit yung mic.
their sole qualification to mga retired military and police is their security conscious. They are security experts kuno. Parang tayo ba, journalists, we are good journalists but we are not good managers. You have to hire somebody na professional managers. Pero I would like to go back to your previous point kay Jana, yung regionalized na plano ni Justice Secretary. Before everything this started, yung Percy Lapid case, yung Remulla drug case, naging guest ko si Justice Secretary Remulla, and he was telling us he has so many plans to really implement the regionalized In fact, sa Sablayan, pumunta na siya. Remember yung task na pinasa ng 18 Congress, yung Alcatraz type na prison, doon ilalagay yung mga nasa National Bilibid Penitentiary na congested, because sabi nga niya, he has plans, not him, but the government, to turn the National Bilibid Penitentiary in Muntinlupa into a government center. You know how sprawling the area. Very sprawling. Gagawin lang government center. Lahat ng prisoners, ang idea niya, para yung mga prisoners closer with their families. Lalo na yung kung sino yung malapit sa Visayas, sa Mindanao, malapit middle point, yung Sablayan in Mindoro. So, yun ang kanyang idea. Kaso, when these things came up, at nabigla pa nga ako kay Senate President, kasi sabi niya, we want to implement sabi niya, we want super maximum prison so that all these hardened criminals will be placed just in one place, in one detention, sama-sama sila doon. Di lahat ng mga bright boy sa kriminal ng mga kriminal, sasama-sama na naman. Sabi ko nga, may batas na kayo, why don't you just implement it, di ba? There's already the law, just implement it. Anong status ng law? Wala pa, sa ere, nobody saying what happened to that law.
May I add to that lang, Cito?
Yeah, Jarius.
Whoever is handling, whether it's nationalized or regionalized, whoever is at the top or at the regional level, the heads, the wardens, all the way down sa Iwahig, sa Sablayan, sa wherever we have, sa Davao Penal Colony, there are wardens. Ang nilalagay talaga dyan, mga ex-generals, mga matitigas, Pero dapat maintindihan nila rin, na hindi lang katigasan ang importante rito, hindi lang yung katapangan, Kailangan din yung naiintindihan mo yung purpose nitong justice, yung prison system. This is not punitive justice. This is rehabilitative justice. We intend to rehabilitate them, not just punish them for their crimes. Even if your sentence is a life imprisonment. What I'm saying is this: part of rehabilitation is putting them back on the road to normal society and even spirituality. Why can't they revive yung mga prayer groups, or I'm sure they're still going on, Pero napakalakas ng prayer group movement noon about 20 years ago inside the prisons. Why can't they revive it? Kaya there's peace inside the prisons, not because they have strangled the mayores or the gang leaders, no, but they have converted them into prayerful persons.
Naging Bible leaders.
Di ba, example niya si Belgica? Si Belgica, di ba?
Yes.
Prison,
even si General Garcia is a pastor now.
Ah.
Yes.
Okay, now, so, but what about the extreme? Kasi sabi mo nga, Jarius, no, that it shouldn't be punitive, it should be reformative. Okay?
Yes, oo.
Hindi puro parusa, kailangan may pagbabago. Now, people in authority are conflicted kasi many of them would say, we would like to make it reformative, but there's such an international movement that prevents prison labor. But prison labor is what generates income for prisoners so that they can send money to their loved ones or to sustain themselves. The other side naman, it will say, if you take life, you should pay with your life. Let's just kill all the drug pushers, kill all the mass murderers, the pedophiles, etc. Even Senator Pacquiao, when he was a senator, expressed that and said, biblically speaking, it has basis that, you should pay for your life with your life for taking a life. What about the death penalty?
When they say prison labor, I think they mean what is forbidden is hard labor, which is pinagtitibag ka ng bato or ano, tapos wala kang sweldo. Pero if you go to Iwahig, there are souvenir shops in Iwahig, and they are produced. The souvenirs are fabricated, made by the prisoners. So ibig sabihin, and they earn somehow.
Tsaka ban na yung hard labor ban na yung hard labor, di ba?
Yeah, pero hindi rin tinatanggap ng mga foreign companies yung products that were produced in prisons.
Yes.
So you may ano yata international covenant on products made in prison. But okay, moving forward, as you may have noticed, I'm here in Lipa, Batangas, and my column for tomorrow involves supply and demand. I have noticed, and you will read about it, na nagkakaroon ng shortages sa pagkain at sobrang food inflation, etc. And I found out last night while speaking to someone who had been traveling that the situation is the same in other provinces. There is a shortage of different products, whether in the palengke or in the mall. The inflation is at a 10 to 20 peso increase from the previous month, and people are living with less or doing without. Kumbaga, dati kilo-kilo ang bili, tapos naging kalahating kilo, naging 1/4, ngayon guhit-guhit na lang ang bilihan. What do you both have to say regarding this? Who wants to take a first shot?
Ako na.
Sige. Go ahead, you, please.
Kasi ang natatawa ko kanina, dahil nung Monday, ang first 5 days, na-announce ng Philippine Statistics Authority ang mga inflation statistics. And finally, for the first time, the PSA, headed by MAPA, admitted na yung 1 peso worth ng ating ngayon ay 87 centavos na lang because of the 7.7 inflation rate. You can just imagine, yung 1 peso mo, ang mabibili mo lang yung worth 87 centavos. So, may utang ka. Laging may utang ang mga tao. Kasi nga, sa sobrang mahal ng bilihin, nag-grocery nga ako nung Sunday. I was so shocked. Naging 5 figures na yung aking weekly groceries ko. And nainis ako, dahil yung 1 kilo of sugar supposedly being sold at 70 pesos already by some groceries and 100 pesos per kilo pa rin. So what gives? Kaya ko sasabihin, doon ka lang bumili sa radyo o bumili ka sa TV, ina-announce sa malita na yan. So it's a matter of implementation. As Jarius has been saying, whoever is in charge must implement the laws and implement the rules para matalagang maramdaman ng tao down the level, di ba, Ja?
Okay,
Yes.
bago sumagot si Jarius, can we please go for a 1-minute break because talagang kailangan mag-break na may technical issue kami dito. We will go for a quick break, but we promise we will be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. And kung nagtatako po kayo, bakit hindi masyadong clear yung aking camera? Okay na ito. Para lang dream sequence sa pelikula. Okay? But we have had a technical problem here. So anyway, continuing our conversation with my bosses, Ichu Villanueva and Jarius Bondoc. Sabi kita mo naman, Ichu, sabi sa'yo ngayon lang ako nagmukhang gwapo, hindi yung harsh reality.
You look like yung maputing-maputi.
Okay, Jarius, you're about to make a comment on supply chain issues, food inflation, etc.
Yeah. Good morning again, Cito and Ichu. Yeah. In fact, magkapit-bahay yung columns natin every Wednesday. MWF sa Philippine Star. Back-to-back tayo ng topic kasi I'm discussing almost the same issue. Actually, yung what I'm discussing tomorrow actually is electricity rates, no, that push up our food prices. You know, about 50% of the cost of poultry, yung raising poultry, 50% of fishing naman sa fuel, 20% of farming from electricity and fuel. This costs push up food prices. Lalo na yung kuryente ngayon. Kuryente is so expensive in Mindanao, in certain parts of Mindanao. In Leyte, Samar, it's the generation rate alone is 15 pesos per kilowatt hour. Yun pang income tsaka yung service pa nung electric cooperative and the retailer. And then Cagayan Isabela, it's 12 pesos. Sobrang mahal. If you have a small business, you won't be able to afford it anymore. Yung mga small food businesses or micro or medium. Kasi imagine, Cito, halos lahat ng Filipinos sa bahay, many of us partially work from home kahit paano, Many of us have sidelines from home. Many of us have businesses, small businesses in the home. Pero pagkapakamahal na ng kuryente, how can you afford those things? Hindi lang paputol ka na
Yeah, a good example for that is before, yung mga magmamanok dito sa area namin, lalo na yung mga nagsasabong, they used to incubate or have their incubators here in Batangas. But now, most of them have brought their incubators to Metro Manila. And I said, bakit? May biyahe pa kayo? Sito, napakamahal lang kuryente. We will just incubate in Manila and then bring to Lipa.
Dito kasi sa Greater Manila, swerte tayo sa Meralco, ang electricity natin dito is something like 11 pesos per kilowatt hour. All in na yon. Sa ibang probinsya, 15 pesos, generation pa lang yon. Yung patong pangalan, umaabot ng mga 18, 20 per kilowatt hour. Sobrang mahal. Kawawa talaga yung mga nasa probinsya. How can they? And then we depend on the farmers, on the poultry raisers, on the hog raisers, mga fishermen. We depend on them for food. And yet they don't have food. Diba?
Yeah. Now, Ichu, what about you? You have an army of reporters, news sources, because last night, something that really caught my attention was very alarming. May nagsabi sa akin, Cito, if you go around the Philippines, not just in Batangas or Baguio, if you go around the Philippines, the supply chain is so bad, the supplies are so few and so expensive. But someone is doing a great job of making sure that all those supplies are available in Metro Manila. Kasi pag umangal ang tiga Metro Manila, mabibisto lahat yung nagiging problema sa Pilipinas. What's the truth?
It's the key there is that the president himself, no less, is the concurrent agriculture secretary. And from day one of his administration, he has declared, I want the value chain, our agriculture sector addressed. So it's a good thing that the president is holding in concurrent capacity the agriculture. And secretary along with him, that he can always order immediately because he's the president. So, but the fact is, yung sinabi mo nga, yung sa other parts of the country are somewhat or somehow being not addressed forthrightly kasi down the line, you know naman, ang echelon ng ating bureaucracy, the red tape and everything, although the president is the one directing all these things in the agriculture sector, the communication comes down, parang naiimbudo na, di ba? To the point na by the time it reaches to the lowest rank, same resources na being downloaded, lumiliit na lumiliit. Not to mention the corruption that seeps into the process. So, tama ka in saying medyo maganda ang situation sa Metro Manila but not in the countryside. And as well as in the electricity power supply na kasi may mga rural electric cooperatives na it is under a different agency of the government. Hindi siya under the Department of Energy but is under the ano ba yun? Jarius? NEA, National Electrification Administration. So, makikita mo yung talagang there's a need for right-sizing the government to cut down on this red tape and this the breaking down the system and the whole value chain.
One of the questions that was asked with seriousness, no? These are senior citizen businessmen. They have a group, yung iba nga, mga magkakabatch pa sa eskwela. And I was asked, do you believe that this administration is engaging businessmen, the public sector? Kasi I was surprised. A lot of them have not recovered from the first executive order that disallowed the establishment of an economic zone near the proposed San Miguel Bulacan Airport. And then they're also asking, ito bang government natin ay pro-business or hindi rin nila alam yung gagawin nila, Jarius?
May sabi ni President Marcos, he insists on retaining the Secretaryship of Agriculture because there are things a president can do that a secretary cannot. That is very true. Now, as Secretary of Agriculture and President, sige, i-assemble mo yung buong cabinet and make everybody move towards food supply, getting the food supplies, and increasing food production. Yung parang singular-minded tayo. Pababain ang presyo ng kuryente so that food producers are not so burdened and then they don't need to pass it on to consumers. Find ways to bring down the cost of fuel, yung mga ganon. Or i-order natin yung Department of Environment and Natural Resources, i-restore natin yung mga bakawan natin na we have destroyed 250,000 hectares of our mangrove forest. Why don't we replant our mangrove forest? Kasi libreng pagkain ang makukuha ng mahihirap dun eh. If you have a mangrove forest, you get 800 kilos of food a day. A year na yield dyan per hectare of mangrove forest. May isda, may shells, may birds, may itlog ng birds, may kung anong food. Or why don't you order the Secretary of Interior? Okay, make sure na yung mga checkpoint na yan, walang nangingikil na pulis dyan sa mga...
Yeah, but he has na, pwede kitang gawing Secretary of Agriculture, pwede kong gawing Secretary si Ichu because, I'm sorry, with all due respect to the President for whom I pray for every day, that is the frustration of many Filipinos, or at least the thinking Filipinos I speak with. They're saying, when is he going to say? Pati na nga yung ate ni BBM, di ba? Sinasabi, magalit ka na dyan sa mga tao mo dahil walang gumagalaw.
Hindi, on the other hand, ang nangyari pa, there's now a gag order in the Department of Agriculture as issued by Senior Undersecretary Domingo Panganiban in behalf of the Secretary raw. No official or no employee of the Department of Agriculture may talk to the media, may entertain media interviews unless cleared with the office of the Secretary.
Okay, thank you for saying that, Mr. Jarius Bondoc. Ladies and gentlemen, ako na po ang magpapatotoo. I have spent the last 2.5 weeks trying to schedule an official policy they're implementing sa shipment of poultry products all over the Philippines. Maganda yung plano nila. So I said, tara, let's interview these people so they can promote it on TV. But 2.5 weeks later, I have talked to Undersecretary so-and-so, I have talked to Director so-and-so. None of them could say, all I would hear is, wala pang clearance. So clearly, may gag order. Icho, how are you dealing with this kind of, sorry, I have to call it, stupidity? Tumutulong na ang civilian sa inyo, tumutulong na ang private sector sa inyo, kayo pa ang nagtatapal.
I first heard this when ang first press secretary natin noon, sino ba yung...
Si Attorney Trixie Cruz.
Unified messaging. 2 words, unified messaging. Kaya noon, nagkawindang, remember yung SRA, yung sa sugar import?
Yeah.
Yung unified messaging nila, wala na bang silang nalalabang about customs code and tariff code? In-announce yung sa Subic na shipment, allegedly illegal shipment, when it turns out, proper lahat ng documents, na-expose pa yung kung sino yung intelligence officer nila, at nasuspendido pa yung mga ano. And yet, tama naman lahat, and they've already stated, that was the first na nasunog ang Department of Agriculture. Perhaps that one explanation for that DA naging centralized din nila. And you know, ako'y frustrated talaga kasi I had to be the one to directly get in touch with the right persons, especially appointments. Kasi di ba maraming na-appoint ako dito, na-appoint ako. Yung pala, hindi naman siya na-appoint. Hindi pa, ni-raise ko rin yan. Sabi ko, sino magko-confirm? Ang tagal-tagal mag-confirm ng palasyo. I have to get in touch with people.
Last 2 minutes na tayo, Jarius. I cannot help myself. I have to ask you because you mentioned appointments. We have an appointed, we have a general manager of the NAIA by the name of Cesar Chong, who was requested by Secretary Jimmy Bautista to resign his position from San Miguel and the Caticlan Airport to join the government. And after a few months, Malacanang announces that there is a new GM of the NAIA, and the new GM of the NAIA doesn't want to show up because parang na-realize na, teka, puputaktihin ako dito. Ano ba nangyayari, Jarius?
Alam mo, ano yan yun? It started with E.S. Rodriguez, with former E.S. Rodriguez, remember? Pati yung kanyang brother-in-law who had utang sa PPA and conflict of interest and all that. Kaya di ba marami ngayong natatanggal na appoint na para ni ko na yun pala ay sinabit sa CA, Commission on Appointments. So, doon na pumunta sa CA, Commission on Appointments, ng nominations nila ay na-submit na sa CA. Kasi Malacanang taking a long time to confirm it. Ano ba naman, manong natanungin ng Press Secretary doon sa ES, ano ba sir, po ba to? Hindi. Just a few minutes. But took them so long, sabi ko, punta tayo sa CA. Doon, nakita namin. Nomination.
Okay, Jarius, someone asked me, does Bongbong Marcos study the documents that he signs? I'm putting this out there. I'm not being critical of the president, but this is the public impression. You have a sitting GM who is doing a good job. You have someone appointed as GM. Para sabi, ano ba yan?
I don't know I don't know his work style, but let me just recall si President Staff of the Armed Forces when he was the Secretary of National Defense, and all the way to when he became president. There were times I would get to interview him in his car. Parate meron siyang kahon ng gatas sa katabi niya, sa back seat, full of documents. May study and then i-red mark niya yung mga kailangan tapos i-shoot out yung gano'n. Kaya, if you will recall, those were among the best years of this country.
Okay, maybe, I'm sorry, but we have to wrap up. But I guess the lesson is do your homework, read what has to be read, and double check what has to be signed on. Anyway, Chu Villanueva, Jarius, Bondoc, Ate, Kuya, thank you very much for your input.
Thank you.
Sana nasagot yung katanungan ng mga kapitbahay, kabarangay at mga businessmen na tawag ng tawag, ano ba, Cito? Malapit na ako magtayo ng pangalawang programa. Ano ba, Cito? Okay, thank you, ladies. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Cito. Good morning to all of you.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go to our blessing prayer for the week, and it comes from chapter 2, verse 1 of the first book of Timothy. I urge you all, okay? I urge you first of all to pray for all people. Ask God to help them, intercede on their behalf, and give thanks for them. Pray this way for kings and all who are in authority. We pray especially for President Bongbong Marcos, and may he be surrounded by sincere men and women with integrity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day. God bless. Please keep it here on One News.